Welcome back to the Hishaku Hideout, a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest chapter and everything Kagurabachi. I'm here with Dice.
It's good to be back.
Today we're getting to chapter 93, Finishing Touches. And we're right where we left off with the four smoke demons just casually talking to each other like they haven't cut each other up.
Yeah, Hokuto's still laughing like a maniac.
Winking and shit.
They're still little broing Natsuki. Like, he's all triggered because he's the only one that used...
He did say his swordplay was actually quite beautiful, and I thought was so funny is just how Natsuki was like, I'm going to let that electrical leak comment slide. Like, he's like, I'll let you go for dissing me because you said my swordplay is beautiful.
And it's so funny, as well as, like, Uruha's literally like, oh, yeah, I got sorcery. It's been 18 years, man. And, like...
Is he stupid?
Natsuki literally says, like, are you stupid?
Him and Hakri, bro. It's like Hokuto knows, bro.
Yeah, he's tapped in. But yeah, again, this dynamic is peak, man.
But after they got their little like pleasantries out the way, Natsuki's like, but setting that aside, you guys can go to hell, right, Urha? And Urha locks in, yeah. But we do get like, there's a good bit of glazing here for the Hishaku members, because Natsuki talks about, Yura isn't so much a master swordsman. It's like his athleticism is just unreal. He has like an inconsistent swordplay, but he still gets plenty of blows in. So he's keeping up with these like masters, even though he may not be an actual like master swordsman. We talked a little bit about it, and he might just not have a style. He might just be self-trained, or he might just kind of like Hirohiko in a sense, where he can just emulates what he sees everyone else do.
Yeah, I especially that last Hirohiko thing, I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like that. I've personally theorized before that I think Yura sees a bit of himself in Hirohiko, and it's like a big reason why he kind of lets him do like what he pleases, not just because he understands that that's how Hirohiko works best, but because he can also relate to that. Right. And not to look too deep on it. Right. But in terms of like the rest of the comments about Yura, I do like the particular words chosen to describe him. Right. He's not so much a master, meaning that he's not too far from being one. Right. So he's definitely skilled and proficient enough. And again, his swordplay is inconsistent. It's not amateur. It's not lackluster. It's not decent. It's inconsistent, meaning that there can be flashes of greatness. And I just like how those words are like meticulously chosen. And I think I told you, like, I don't know how accurate these translations are, but I do like that. I do like that. And Hokuto still holding back. So
yeah, it's crazy. It is like you mentioned, like Hokuto, like if this, translation is like spot on, like, or if it, matches what he was actually trying to convey here. It's like smart for Hokuto to, show that, Yura is capable enough to where like if a master swordsman fights him with a sword, like you can't just like sleep on him because he can, spring up and kill you. But, like it's giving him enough credit also to where like, if and when he does get that enchanted blade, it's not going to seem as crazy when he starts like being, like almost like a master swordsman. You know what I mean? It's not like he's going to go from a crazy jump overnight, even though, I mean, obviously if he gets to Magatsumi, anybody would get a, exponential growth like in power, but, just in terms of like swordsmanship, because they say like, that's directly tied, being how in tune you are with your swordsmanship, helps like fully understand or get closer to the true realm and all that.
Oh yeah, they definitely do. I don't know if they go hand in hand per se, but I do agree with what you're saying, whereas like him being at least a good enough swordsman will make a lot more sense when if and when he's able to do crazy things with the Magatsumi, again, if and when he gets his hands on them. But yeah, I told you, I think once we get a bit of Yura's origin story, it'll most likely explain why his swordplay is the way it is. And I'm looking forward to that.
Facts. Yeah, I mean, just his full reveal like that's the thing that's like, I'm looking forward to the most, is just what his story is, his origin. These are all things that, because the Hishaku win-loss record, let's be honest, is pretty abysmal. It's like cheeks in terms of like fights, but no one can deny like the Hishaku, they really like amp the, like when they're in the chapters or just on the page, it definitely elevates, or it feels like it gives it that cool factor, but it also raises like the stakes, the tension. The more we like, that's what we want to know the most about, and Hokuzono has always done a really good job of these, like keeping these phantoms in the dark and just shedding a tad bit of light on them when the time's right. I think he's done a good job handling Yura. Like, that's probably the character that I feel like he's handled really well, above the rest maybe. But I mean, he handled all of them well, but that's like the standout for me.
I see.
And
yeah, I see what you're saying.
And there's a lot of characters that you could like point to for that though, like to give his credit, because his character rating is like really, really strong.
I was about to mention, like, on that same vein, in that same line of thinking, Hokuto. I think he was handled extremely well in how he was teased in Kunishiki's assassination. And then we saw eventually his puppet showed up with a mask on. That wasn't an actual reveal. We got the puppet reveal, and then we eventually got him. And then even now, he's not disappointed at all. And I did kind of want to bring it to this, like we see in this chapter, before like the four of them kind of get on stance. Like, this isn't a surprise, but the fact that Hokuto, he's more interesting in like savoring the duel than just like killing them, which again is not much of a surprise. But the way Uruha's thinking again is phrased, and he literally says it's creepy. Like, we've talked about this before. Despite the win-loss record, the Hishaku somehow still live up to like their name, if that makes sense, and like being this like villain group that you have to take serious. Yeah,
their whoever's running their PR is insane. Because like,
that's us.
Facts. The biggest tip sippers of the Hishaku, spinning on it. But no, but to your point though, Hokuto has always done a good job of like putting their like losses, like compartmentalizing them to like those moments compared to like the grand scheme of everything. He definitely has his ducks in a row for like what his plan is with them. And that's what makes this chapter so interesting. I mean, we do know Yura says outright a couple chapters ago, we're just buying time. Uruha being alive here wasn't foreseen by him. That was like the biggest wrench thrown in his plan is Uruha being alive here. And it seems as if like he still had like this like backup layer, like this like net to catch him if anything like that was to happen, where him and Hokuto could be in this fight and their plan still progresses.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And the last thing I'll say about Hokuto, well, not really actually, but one thing I'll say about Hokuto, and I guess I can turn this into a question ultimately, is the comment he says before that crazy double spread, he says, injuries are good. The pain gives you an adrenaline rush, it sharpens your focus. You see, he's fucking spazzing.
Feral Hokuto is bad news.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I wanted to ask, because we've talked about this whole thing about like, oh, well, he's lost a hand. He's not like, we can't really, scale him properly, or like, but is there any chance, especially with these types of comments, which I usually don't like read too much into, but with a character like Hokuto, you just have to. Is there any chance he's actually better? Like, obviously there's a threshold, right, in terms of how injured he can get before he's just dead or like, not formidable. But is there any chance that right now, like, Hokuto is better than when he is at 100% because he's pushed in like the zone, and again, that adrenaline rush, that feral? Like, what do you think about that?
I think it's a fair question, and I, like you said, there's a threshold to it, and that's a good way to put it, because I think it's if he's gotten damaged that cannot be undone, then it may be a bit of a different scenario.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing is, we already know he's created a whole puppet So what's to stop him from creating the hand when they least expect it for him to get a killing blow or something like that? You know, like
Yeah.
use a puppet hand. Like we already seen him like control like the armor and stretch his armor out. What if he just pops up like a gauntlet, a samurai gauntlet with like a puppet hand, and like that. Like it's kind of like what JJK says, sorcerers like are con artists. Whoever has like the last, whoever plays has the last trick up their sleeve is the one that's going to ultimately win. That's why, and Hokuto could be at a point where he's in the zone now because like his life, he's fighting for his life here. You know, like to your point, like it kind of like given that adrenaline rush, he now feels the thrill of fighting. He's now locked in, and before it was more like. He's not tripping about losing the hand because either one of the Hishaku members can just, sew it back on for him, or he'll just grow a puppet one. But now, for his sword, I think he is now like a problem. Like he's now like a severe problem that they're going to have to deal with, even with technically him losing a hand. I think now he's the most dangerous. Like them saying like he's still holding back, like he's not, like that's no longer the case. Like he's gonna, he's ready to throw his life on the line here and like let this be his last fight. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I agree with that also, especially like combined with like the previous comment about him being like telling Natsuki basically like, oh, you're right, like my bad for essentially thinking that sorcery could have been optional. Like I think he's finally realized that, like you said. It's everything's on the line. And hey, even like he said, like the fight's about to enter its climax, and he doesn't whip out his sorcery right then and there. But again, that previous exchange would lead us to believe that they're all going to whip out their sorcery now, which we talked about in our previous kind of episode discussions. And you just gotta love, being sarcastic by the way, how the fight is entering its climax and then we cut away from it. But at least not before some, crazy double spread that I want to get your thoughts on.
Yeah, the one thing I want to say that is a good shout. Talking about like the sorcery, like him leaving, like saying it was optional or whatever. Like that tells me now that like Hokuto, if he was still playing around, I feel like he would just grow the puppet arm now, just to show them like. This is nothing. But like now that it's like the climax, it's all on the line. He's serious. He's gonna start fighting to kill. It's now time to like get serious. But it is funny as hell that he does block Uruha's arm with his nub. Like he helps like shield Yura away with that, and Yura like Uruha is definitely like the problem child that they have to deal with though. And I'm wondering if he's gonna activate Crimson Recital here. And try to like hit like a shockwave blow or something. I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, we tracked, we went to go through and track the arms and all that. Like Yura's left arm, kind of glancing Natsuki's lower sword blow while he blocks Uruha from the top. There's so much blood being splattered. I mean, it's just Hokuzono. This is where he cooks. Like it visually grabs you. And you just stay on the page for so long. You just appreciate like what this man's accomplishing in a choreography standpoint and art direction as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, you put it perfectly. This is where he cooks. Like there's a lot of things that he's made his thing. Like we've talked about, like the fisheye lens kind of styled panels. These sort of crazy double spreads where there's just so much going on, and you have to take your time to look into it and see if there's something more like beyond surface level, like because we talked about this, that I feel like there's something that we can take away here that is going to be relevant in future chapters, whether it's something simply like you said, we track the blades and see that 2 of those blades have blood. Now is it blood from the previous kind of injuries inflicted, or is this maybe a reflection of who might have gotten injured in this current exchange that we're seeing? But again, Hokuzono just does a great job of blending, like you said, the artwork itself and the choreography, as well as like the bit of intrigue. It's just a lot, man. A lot in the best, in the best sense of the word.
Yeah,
But
it's like Samura, Hirohiko, and Chihiro's clash, in the
yes,
hotel, it's like that, oh my god, like what's happening here? Like imagine if those were all enchanted blades clashing.
I ripped Japan, man. But what do you think? We cut away from this fight right there. You kind of predicted this, so what do you think about that?
Well, interesting enough, I mean, there's underground level 5, that's where, they were first like meta with Hakri and Kiri and all them, but then, they went down to level 6. So we're just seeing where the female Hishaku member, which her name is Urin, or if maybe she's the real Pishaku and is Urin, but but the thing that's cool is Urin, and then we get Bingo, which I guess he's like the dog of the Hishaku essentially, figuratively and literally. But it's creepy that his ability, he has to eat people. That is so crazy and such a dramatically dark recoil to like using an ability. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're a strong sorcerer, but you got to eat humans to fuel up.
But you're a cannibal.
Yeah, and it's if your sorcery is like this innate thing that is like it's very telling of like your personality or something about your genetic makeup or just your origin. Like I'm not trying to see this dude's backstory is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, like but Bingo, that's a horrible name, but we do see his and we also see Urin's ability, and she's like a little baddie, Ice Queen. She's Elsa essentially of the Hishaku.
Yeah, I'm interested to see more of them, less so of that Bingo guy. I'm with you. I do enjoy how there's a lot of like interesting details to his sorcery. How it's not just that he has to eat people, but like he seems to transform into the same thing that he was able to kind of summon a couple of chapters ago. But on top of that, like if he eats too much, he gets sleepy. So like there's some very wild and interesting and, dare I say, like annoying, honestly, conditions to his whole sorcery. Like he looks annoyed. Well, he's sleepy, right? But I would be annoyed if I had that like whack ass sorcery. Well, it's not whack, but it's just like fucking annoying as hell. It looks like Urang, I'm interested to see a bit more of, because I want to see if it's just like, oh, she's like you said, like just an ice sorcerer, or if it's like a full-on elemental sorcery and she can use all 4, or if it's like a hot and cold, and then maybe because it's very interesting how this chapter she looks all cutesy, right? But we know she can be like a fucking demon, so I wouldn't be surprised to see like a bipolar, like a bipolar personality reflected in her abilities, and she can use like ice and fire. It's just speculation. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, because we do know that there was fire at Kunishige's residence that day.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. True.
So
but that could also be Hokuto, right? We talked about.
Yeah, because he did spark the, the cigarette.
Yeah.
But I mean, he says him outright himself that, that had to be just like a condensed, like, or maybe he did draw his sword that fast to just like use the like kind of flick it with that pressure, that friction, excuse me. And if she does like an elemental thing, that like a hot and cold, that could be to your point of like her ability. Maybe she's like Todoroki from My Hero Academia. She has to kind of like interchange. Like she has her own stipulations for her ability where she uses the cold too much, she gets, her body temperature starts to drop, so she has to use the fire to regulate. And if she uses the fire, she has to, her temperature starts to, get boil up and shit. So she has to use the ice to like cool down. And then we do see Best Genius also pop in, and he's just saying, no, you two are just that strong. It's like, he's like, yeah, no, y'all are just demons for real. I do like Urin a lot. She is, I do think that she is like old. I think she's a bit older. She kind of got like charisma. She's very charismatic on panel. I don't know, even though she hasn't really said much, you know what I mean? She's likable.
No, I agree. Her interactions with our peers, no, I'm just kidding, but like the other Hishakus has been like, she just kind of seemed like a vibe. And I do wonder to that, like that older comment that you said, it wouldn't be crazy to think, or I wouldn't be surprised to see if like the ice has something to do with how she's maybe able to keep herself from aging or like looking young. I could be maybe reading to it, but because I agree with you, I think we're both impression senior Hishaku member. We don't think that she's like Hirohiko's age. So with this ice reveal, I would be curious to see if maybe that kind of has something to do with that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just schizophrenic.
Yeah, I mean that elemental abilities can get pretty crazy, because like I'm thinking about like why like Hirohiko, he has like the perfect sorcery to pair with her. She freezes him and he throws like a origami his little origami things, the birds at like a drone strike, and basically just shatters the ice that she creates. Cranes, I know I couldn't get the word crane out my head, but those are origami cranes. Like imagine how many filled the theater, or how much paper he filled that theater up with. Now imagine if she turned all those people into ice first. They could do crazy damage. But I mean, we know the Hishaku isn't necessarily like put together to spread like this, like just be massive damage on the establishment Kamunabi. They use their sorcery for a purpose. I mean, it's still gonna fuck shit up, but I mean, they only use it when they need to. Yura's got those guys locked in because, we know Hirohiko was like getting bored. He's like, man, we just been sitting around doing nothing, waiting for Yura to give us the word. And so I would like to see how's Yura like wrangle all these like strong sorcerers in. Like, how did he sell them on the dream?
Yeah, no, that's definitely it's a rabbit hole.
They all have personalities, and they all seem like they like to fight. Like Best Jeanist and Toto are like the fuck arounds, but the rest of them seem like they want to get into fights, and he was able to like keep them off the radar for that long.
I don't know, man. All I'm gonna say is those Bingo's ears are looking kind of sus again.
Jesus Christ, the ear gate. even Urahan's ears, and the one where she sneaks up on the guy.
No, but not the same. Not the same.
Hey, little daddy, let me whisper in your ear.
Let's talk about these knockoff Kamunabi, because that's what they look. Well, I just want like the first guy, not knockoff Kamunabi. This guy looks like a knockoff Azami. It's just because of the traditional sorcery uniform. But I just think those guys are gonna get one-shotted. They're gonna get the fodder villain treatment.
Yeah, the guy came out with his little top knot, looking like old school, Ryo Ishigori from the Edo period. And like, brother, you got a comb, and you got a homie holding your cone. You are definitely getting packed up.
Yeah, they're all getting packed up. They're not like that. It's negative aura.
He does say like fire a blast, so they have some kind of like
projectile, like
big bang, that they're gonna hit him with. But it's like she's ice, so what if she just like zeros the temperature in that hallway? What now?
Yeah, they're getting low diffed. I'm standing on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm wondering, like, I would like to know if this guy's one of like, I mean, because he's coming off like an elite squad commander. I'd like to know who belong, like what Kamunabi higher up is he like the commander of?
Okay. No, I don't think this guy's a commander. There's no way. There's no way this guy's a commander. None of those.
That entrance, he better be something. He better be the assistant to the commander.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They ain't shit. They walking in like they're all that. They're getting packed up. And I'm saying, like,
how did this bum have a posse like that?
I don't know, man. They're kind of feeling.
I got best friends that wouldn't do shit like that for me.
I told you.
Like, you hold your own fucking comb. Why do you have a comb anyway?
Yeah, look, man. They're just doing too much all around. I can't wait till we see them just packed up, frozen, chomped to bits.
Yeah, his comb is just gonna be left. That's an enchanted comb, though.
No,
they
fuck
say.
Those guys, honestly. Oh, they say. Okay, yeah, I'll take your word.
They said comb the hallways, find all Hishaku members. Took it literally.
Yeah, and then Ichiki
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. The ridiculousness of the Kamunabi has to be studied. I bet, brother, what do you mean?
These
You came up
guys,
to the third elimination grounds to meet up with me, and you want me to carry you back? Like, bro, you came to fight, I hope. Like, this motherfucker, god damn. I still don't trust Kamunabi Yoda.
I mean, I thought Azami was clear for me, but like, I mean, I'm not looking too much into it, but where's the sense of urgency here? Like, we talked a bit about this. Okay, they're waiting for an elevator. Let's say that they dipped from the execution grounds. Now they're waiting for the elevator. Really, just chilling, just waiting for the elevator. Like,
Hikari and Kiri were on the 6th floor. The third elimination ground's like level 1 underground. So they had to go down like 5 floors at least to get there. But how did they know? I mean, I guess there's some communication that maybe that guy with the shades, maybe he like got some like intel to them that let them know like, oh, Kiri and Azami are on underground level 6. Like, I just thought of that. That could be.
It could be, right? Like, the exclamation mark seems for Kiri, who's surprised to see them, or it could be the other way around. Like, Ichiki and Azami both seem surprised to see them, so I don't think that they were waiting for them. But look, all I'm saying is, I think it's a pretty dire situation to just be standing around waiting for a fucking elevator. Like, maybe one waits for the elevator and the other dips to maybe make it quicker, or like, I don't know, man, but like, there's people fighting their asses off, and like, one dude's giving a piggyback ride to the other one, riding him on his shoulders, just waiting for a fucking elevator, and they're two of the strongest. So like, excuse me if like, or I'm sorry if like that causes like suspicions, or for me to raise some sort of questions, you know, like, again, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, no, like, they definitely could have used like maybe just one-off panel of like the security system Kamunabi dude relaying like a message to Azami and Kamunabi Yoda that they're on ground level 6. Uruha and Natsuki are engaging with the two. Kiri's with Hakri, and they're now running, they're running towards, because he does know where everyone's at, but it would just be nice to see like something like that. But that would be if they, that would be to them having a reason to be there. If this does play into maybe both of them being a traitor, then we know why we didn't get anything like that. You know what I mean? But Hokuto could just be playing fast and loose with like, keeping everyone guessing, just bringing back enough speculation. Like, they're saying that Kudo's dead, but you never know. I think he's dead personally, but you just never know.
Yeah, like, just the whole thing, because again, Ichiki, like, it's the second time that, or like second or third time, point is not the first time that we see him be pretty self-aware and pretty in tune to what the Hishaku are trying to do. Like, he seems to be able to put the pieces together and kind of understand the method behind the madness. Like, he even says here, like, okay, like, they would know that they're walking into not a trap, but that they're essentially walking into there's no possible way that they would think that they could actually defeat them with the manpower that they walked in with. And yet he continues to proceed like nothing. Like, he's self-aware that they could be walking into a trap, and then as he says it, they continue to do it, right? And again, we kind of discussed this about like, okay, so what else could he do? I don't know, right? But all I'm saying is what I'm seeing, right? Like, maybe try to do something different, maybe try to be another step ahead. I don't know. Hokuto's setting something up here, because the way the chapter ends with the Shinichi and Hishaku specifically, we know that the Urang and Bingo are about to fight some Kamunabi, but here we see Hishaku, which is, yeah, he's the other member besides Yura and Hokuto, which makes sense. So, and he's getting cornered by the Kamunabi. I think these guys are also gonna get packed up. The dude that was popping through the window yelling at Natsuki a couple of chapters, whatever, I think these guys might get packed up. But I told you, something most likely interrupt this meeting between Hakuri and the Shinichi. What that is, I don't know. Most likely related to the Master Swordsman. I'll give you the floor.
I'll tell you this. Looking at it again, the two panels that kind of stick out to me as like questionable. Almost like, and this could be me playing into this to be fair. So, but looking at it where when Hakuri says, we'll settle this once and for all, I'll transport to the Magatsumi to the warehouse, then the Hishaku's hands will be tied. And then Azami is like he's like, if only it were that easy. Almost like he kind of regrets what maybe like an admission of like, I feel guilty for what I'm about to have to do. Like, because then, and it's like, then because it even puzzles Hakuri, like, why isn't that like a more like thing to be happy about? And it seems maybe like Kamunabi Yoda then covers his words and being like, oh, he just means that we surrounded all the Hishaku members. And, you know, like two guys against like someone who is a fighter in the Hishaku, like two just regular Kamunabi guys, we know that those two dudes are getting packed for sure. You know what I mean? It's not like they're of notable like level. And, you know, like I'm just the devil's advocate of wondering, what if, you know, Azami just feels bad, you know, whatever the case may be. Maybe, you know, Yoda like maybe he got to Azami and he got Azami to, you know, believe that this is the right way. This is what, you know, like I said, it could be so many things, and we could just be playing into it. It could be nothing, and they could be like basically red herrings. They could be like the shiny thing in the story to point to, like, oh, they're back. Like, we're right at the Magatsumi. Here's the two guys that just so happen to be with Hakuri and Kiri, you know. And it could be like the inclusion of the swordmaster himself, because it's been a while since we saw him stand. It'd be nice to see like where's that settle into the actual timeline. And how does that actually play into this?
Yeah. It's because I've never been Ichiki's like we've always been you know, pretty sus of Azami, not so much. You know, there's those out that could be kind of plausible, but it's not really worth entertaining unless you're given moments like these where you can kind of question some decision making. And I might be generous saying this, but like they've been borderline incompetent most of the time, or at least at times, you know. So this maybe isn't worth reading too much into. Like you said, could be a red herring. Hokuzono, you know, understands his audience, understands that there's some suspicions around some characters, some more than others, and he could be easily playing into that. I'm just wondering, like, I guess the bigger question is, what are the chances that Hakuri is able to actually come in contact with the Shinichi here and actually through with the plan? What could possibly interrupt this moment? And this plays more into speculation, theories. We talked about the Master Swordsman. I'm just curious to see, because maybe he does come in contact with it, and maybe that plays into Yura's plan. But I don't think so, because they wanted to kill him. So again, a lot of questions.
Are they gonna have to undo the seal for him to transport it though? Because think about it, when the Hishaku gave Kiora the Magatsumi, they already undid the seal.
I do think it's unsealed. It does look like it's exposed.
Well, because didn't he say when we resealed it, we inspected it and ruled that out? So he did say they resealed it, but that bit don't look sealed. You're right. That bit looked like it's just wrapped up in toilet paper. Somebody swapped it out with a replica.
And again, Ichiki's like, you know, Hakuri's like, should be okay, right? That's why I'm worried. But go on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like Hakuri, because Hakuri is familiar with the box the Magatsumi is in to some degree, you know, because like he's witnessed the box when like Kiora opened it up, so he knows it was in like a box with this like, you know, this extra security on it. So when he's like going up to it and it's in these four torii gates or whatever they are with like the ropes, and he just sees the sword laying there, I'm wondering if he's like questioning, like if he's just questioning why is it like not actually like sealed away in the box like before. Maybe that could be arbitrary. You know, it may not mean nothing, and that's just how like Kunishige chose to, you know, keep it.
I don't know.
but the ropes on the box and like it's got the ropes on the gates. It like is an integral part of like the ceiling, I'd imagine. So it's gonna be interesting to see if like there's like a certain time, like Yoda has to, because he is part of like the other one of 3 Kamunabi members that does like the biometric data for the seal. So maybe he can undo it, but it takes time. So maybe it's now about Kiri, Azami, and Hakuri holding out until they can undo the seal. And maybe that's how this kind of like buys a little bit more time for like the engagement of the Hishaku and Kamunabi to continue on a few chapters.
I mean, yeah, that could be plausible. I can see that happening. It's like we literally agreed on like the fact that there's so many possibilities and potential routes that could lead into crazy developments. It's just really tough to say. And even like I don't have any theories. I don't know what could interrupt this. I don't have any theories of my own. I got nothing. I don't know.
The Hishaku, we know that they wanted to kill Hakuri, right? We saw Hokuto like try, when he realized it was Hakuri, try to kill him. So we know that they're trying to remove Hakuri out the situation. Because if he does put it into the storehouse, that means the Hishaku will never be able to touch it. And Hakuri would probably be down. Like, I just don't know if he'd like ever get tortured enough for him to like sell out Chihiro. You know what I mean? Like Chihiro wouldn't want him to get tortured. You know what I mean? I think he would like die for the cause of Chihiro, really.
Yeah, he would. He would.
That's why the Hishaku want to get rid of Hakuri. They have to remove him from play. But now, so that makes me think that Yura's backup plan here, if they can't kill Hakuri, could be that, like, we know the swordmaster stood up, and we know the swordmasters only said one word in the 18 years, and that's Magatsumi, when the Kyora part happened in Arakuzaichi, right? Maybe Yura it wasn't just a test run to see how it goes. Maybe Yura was actually like, that was his like, that formed his like thesis of the swordmaster has to die before I can get it. That's just because what if like now he alerted the Magatsumi, he alerted the swordmaster. Now that the swordmaster is like up and aware that he rekindled his connection briefly to the Magatsumi, that gave him some energy, so now next time someone goes to transport it or like touches it, swordmaster is now going to be ready for that, but not for the sake of the Hishaku, but for his own sake. And then he teleports the sword to him, or who knows? Like, we know the True Realm is insane. What we've seen like Samura do over the time, seeing what Chihiro did with it in a short time. And so now that, say, he does have energy, he's aware, he could feel there's presence around the Magatsu, like he knows it's close. There's like people around him. He might think like, oh, someone's going to try and use it again. And that's when, hopefully he doesn't corrupt Hakuri. Like hopefully something doesn't happen. He just like, he gets rid of Hakuri. Like, I mean, I think that would be like, I don't think the fandom would like that. And I'm not saying that that's like the theory, but the Swordmaster might be like moving to his own agenda now. Even when I say that, I could think of like other theories that like could sound a little bit more plausible. You know what I mean? Like, we still have the Tree Shaku. Tree Shaku could pop up.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If we want to explore all the options, we'll be here for another 6 hours, But
I mean, like, think if Azami or Ichiki is the actual traitor and they have a seed in their pocket that'll allow them to summon Hatshaku. It could go, like we said, a bunch of ways.
Yeah, I what I wanted to say is that, like, I'm interested in knowing how much time has passed since the Swordmaster stood up at this point. And if enough time has passed since the Swordmaster stood up, why haven't the guys that are monitoring him kind of gotten the word out that, yo, the Swordmaster has stood up? And so it's making me question kind of the timelines here and what is happening with that, as well as with that, how strong is the Swordmaster? Because there were some explicit statements about how he was basically on like life support ultimately. Like, there were some specific statements about like his spirit energy and like his actual health and what he was actually what was keeping him alive. And I'm wondering in terms of like how and how powerful he is now. Can he just walk his way through Kamunabi headquarters trying to make his way to the Shinuchi? Can he stop like people that he finds in his way? And again, like, could maybe he have killed or neutralized the people that were monitoring him? And then maybe that's why nobody knows that the swordmaster stood up. So like, at least rather than like me right now, obviously we can talk theories all day, but like those are the questions that I'm like actually really thinking about. Like, what's the deal with him and why? Because it's been a couple of chapters already, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him soon. I'll leave it at that. The Master Swordsman.
Yeah, and it also is like makes it like very like frustrating to try and like theory craft, just because of Yura. Yura says they're just buying time. It's like, why is he buying time, really? So what was their objective for actually coming here? Was their objective was to come here to make sure the Master Swordsman gets the sword again?
Potentially.
If it was just to kill Hakuri, I don't know. I felt like we would have seen a different kind of urgency in the Hishaku members when they saw Hakuri go down to the floor, to Underground 6 or wherever they're at. With like Europe being like planning things out so well, and he's like of note, we know he's valid as fucking that. So like his plans are well thought out. He's thought of all these things. I don't think anything big enough has thrown a wrench in his plan, because he wasn't sweating Uruha coming back necessarily. It just kind of threw a little wrench, and he told them to continue on as planned. So it's like, what is the actual objective of the Hishaku here?
He told that to who? He told that to Best Genius, and we see Best Genius here with Urang and Bingo. So
yeah,
I think, I personally, I don't know if this is what you think, but whatever their goal is can be boiled down to ultimately waking up the Master Swordsman. What else can be added to that, I don't know right now, but I would be inclined to think that yes, that was ultimately the objective. Wake up the Master Swordsman, and then we'll see what kind of happens from there. There's kind of more to that, but yeah, I almost think that there's no way that the assault. And I think we talked about this, that same chapter that the Master Swordsman kind of stood up. There's no way that this is just coincidence, especially when you look at the parallels between Yura and the Master Swordsman, specifically the one where they both say like the time is nigh, So I don't know how many chapters. It wasn't the same chapter, right? So I don't know how many chapters in between, but. Yes, I think it has something to do with the Master Swordsman. So we'll see, man.
They're actually here. It's like crazy to think about, This whole arc has been just nuts. Like, because the Sword Bear assassinations, like, there's so many. It's gone through so many different stages, and it feels like we're wrapping up to the conclusion here. And it's like it's all coming to a head. So. Really interested to see what the fallout of this arc, like what it has in store for like the universe. Like, not saying no one has to die. It's never like that, but it just always felt like there's a lot of like weight to this arc, and it'd be kind of crazy if in the Sword Bear's assassination arc that no one gets assassinated.
Yeah.
Especially with all the play, mostly just in terms of like the situation at hand of how many people are like, and obviously like some people have lost their life, Kudo, but come on now. Every important player except like 3 is in the same place. It's just, it doesn't ruin the story. It's not bad. No one has to die this out or the other, because it's, Hokuzono's got a vision, so it's all playing within that vision, and we know to trust him. I want to just see like what ramifications this has going forward in the whole universe, whether that being a major death, whether that being the Swordmaster getting free, whether, you know what I mean? Just like, how are people going to move after this? Where are the alliances going to fall? Because we know Chihiro is cool with the Kamunabi for now. We don't know what the state of everything's going to be like. So I just want to see like where the aftermath looks like, or what the aftermath looks like. Excuse me.
No, I'm with you, because I think it's gonna be something big, and that's not like, I'm not going out on a limb, saying that, like, it's not crazy to say at all. But
yeah, it's like the Shibuya of Kagurabachi, essentially. So many pieces at play.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the all impact for the story, yeah, I would kind of say those two are pretty comparable in terms of the ramifications. Obviously this hasn't ended. We don't know exactly, right? But I don't think it's crazy to assume that the aftermath of this, will lead to is going to be something with big consequences. Perhaps on the same level of something like the Shibuya incident. I don't disagree with that. We just have to wait and see, man. But I just want to say, even a chapter like this one, that is, I told you, I think started strong because we're back in that fight that we've been enjoying so much. We cut out of it and it gets, the chapter is a lot of more of exposition. It kind of slows down a little bit, and you can just see that we're about to get into some big developments in the way that it ends. I still think this chapter is really good. It's not a action packed. It's not like, big on, again, these like double spreads. We only get one. Again, starts strong, kind of slows down, but still manages to be one that pushes the story forward in a compelling and interesting way. And again, has me excited for the next chapter. I just want to say that because it's very important to, like, obviously we talk about these chapters week to week and we discuss the arcs and we take a couple of steps back and, we discuss the chapters individually, but also how the recent stretch of chapters has kind of looked like. And so I just think it's good to kind of point out that even a chapter like this, that perhaps compared to others isn't as, doesn't have as many big moments, is still one that's enjoyable and one that I don't know how long going, but still gives us a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing is like maybe the story beats like just aren't like ramped up to a max, or like the action in the chapter was all that. But the thing that Hokuto is like really good at is like he's ramping up the tension. It's like eyes are on the Magatsumi. It's all come for like this moment. The tension's there. It's now we next week we'll see where he goes with it, and he hasn't disappointed. He's been delivering a stellar arc. It feels good to be back. I feel like that the break week was like long. I know the Sojo chapter came out, and I guess before we wrap up, if you want to talk about how you like that Sojo chapter, I thought it's pretty fun. It's light. Everyone loves more Sojo, right?
Yeah, we'll transition to that fully because my closing thoughts on the chapter is that I do like the way you phrased it. Essentially, what Hokuto does in this chapter is he switches action for tension. I hadn't really seen it like that, but that the feeling is definitely there, especially again the way the chapter ends. So I like the way you kind of phrase that and looking at it exactly what it is. And again, only a good to great writer can kind of go like shuffle through these different tones, right? In a way that actually comes across well. So I agree with that, man. More attention towards the end of the chapter, and I think that's gonna be followed up on in the next couple of chapters. We'll see how.
Yeah, that payoff is getting off. There's a lot of weight to the trader payoff, the Magatsumi, the swordmaster payoff. There's a lot of the chips are in the there's a lot of chips in the pot to see what Hokuto ends up cooking up. So it's gonna be exciting to see what he has in store for us next week. Good chapter though.
Yeah, man. And like I said at the top of the episode, it's good to be back. It felt like it was only 2 weeks, right? Just a normal break week, but I don't know why. It felt like forever without Bachi. So I'm just happy to be back talking about Kagurabachi, honestly. But yeah, that Sojo chapter, dude, you can just tell that Hokuto, like, if, I don't know, I get this feeling that if he would have been able to, he would have like kept Sojo around. I don't know how this, I don't know how accurate this is in terms of what I'm about to say, and how, again, just if things actually worked out like this between him and Shonen Jump. But I always got the vibe that Sojo was a villain that only met his end because if the story was cut short, again, this is how I kind of perceived it, the story had like at least like a good conclusion. Like even if like Kagurabachi was axed, which again, I don't know how this kind of fits in the timeline of when he was kind of green light, like when he was given the green light that the story was just going to keep on going. I don't even know how like I haven't been following manga enough to know what these stories that get axed look like and how far they go before they get axed and how much that varies. But again, my point is just that I feel like if Hokuzono could have had his way, he would have kept Sojo around as kind of a villain that just kind of stuck around and kept challenging Chihiro. I could be totally off on that. Maybe his intention was to use him the way he did and then kind of have Hirohiko be that guy, because those two are usually, or a lot of times, in kind of similar conversation in regards to the type of opposition they represent to Chihiro. But yeah, back to like the Sojo chapter in itself. I just really like this character, man. He's a top 2 character in Kagurabachi for me, and he's just fucking crazy, man. It's just insane how my favorite characters in Bachi are just straight up weirdos. I told you. But I do like that essentially what we see in this special chapter is what he told Kaguri. Remember?
Oh yeah, you gotta spend time with the swords. You gotta love the sword. Gotta get to know the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bro was sword fighting with his own sword.
It's such an eerie feeling, the way that's like that whole special chapter. Like he was literally about to, like he was beefy with the kid. Hokuzono, man, he knows how to write characters. I say this in my video podcast. I say this like every chance I get. I'm always talking about different characters as well. It's never the same character. So yeah, I just think he gets it, man. And I thought that was a very enjoyable special chapter. It was fun to read. I think even got like a couple of chuckles out of me. So
yeah, it was good. Yeah, you thought about that chapter a lot more than I did.
I like Sojo.
No,
I'm a big Sojo.
It was fun. Yeah, it's nice you get that kind of thing instead of just a silent break week with nothing. But no, definitely like Sojo's got that. He's very charismatic. Yeah. You love to see him. You love him just being his name being mentioned in the story still just like gets people like ramped up. Yeah,
people show up. Yeah, man. Yeah. I think people really like, again, for this being a break week, even a break week where like JJK was back, I still saw a lot of people talking about this special chapter. So like, Bachi, and we know this, everybody that's present in the community, even a lot of people outside looking in, they know that like Bachi's community is for real. So in no way am I saying that I'm surprised to see talking about break chapter, right? Because like you said, even I spent some time kind of thinking about it and I enjoyed it. And that last panel, man, when he Cloud Gouger, I saw the memes of people saying like almost makes Chihiro look like the villain.
That's funny.
But yeah, so
that's good. Yeah, but any closing thoughts before we end the video?
No, sir. Just that it's good to be back.
Yeah, it really is. Get back in the swing of things, and we'll see what Hokuzono has for his next chapter, and we'll catch y'all next week. Remember, like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and see you next week. Peace.